Welcome to the Sacred Designer Podcast. I'm your host, Alyssa Martin, kitchen and bath designer, entrepreneur, artist, and creative soul behind the Kitchen and Bath Digest. This is a show where we weave soulful design into every space and redefine what it means to create with intention. Here we don't just create beautiful homes, we design from the heart, embracing both the practical and spiritual. By pressing play, you'll be joining a community that creates not just for function, but for a sense of sacred space and personal alignment. On this podcast, you will learn to merge the art of design with soulful living, turning every remodeling project into a journey of self-expression and holistic beauty. This isn't just about kitchens and bathrooms, it's about embracing design as a path to a richer, more beautiful life. So let's step into this sacred designer together and create spaces that resonate with your soul. Welcome to the Sacred Designer Podcast. If you're new here, we're going to talk about the intersection of home and soul and how the spaces we create live that are never just aesthetic or functional, but they're about energy, intention, and transformation. I sit down with designers, organizers, healers, and space holders who understand our homes are mirrors. And when we shift our spaces, we shift our lives, whether you're remodeling your kitchen, or you're organizing your home, rearranging a closet, you're in the right place to believe that it's deeper than it actually looks.
Hi.
Hi.
Good to finally meet you, meet a face.
Yeah. Is it Alyssa or Alyssa?
Alyssa. Yeah, you said it first the right time.
Okay, good. Hey, what a lovely surprise for you to reach out to me and for me to discover you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I what you're putting out there, I think is it's really beautiful. So, yeah.
Right back at you. Your design work is.
Thanks.
I love your posts and the way you approach design. So it's.
Well, thank you. I'm always kind of trying to always improve it and find ways to I just feel like it's so hard to explain that part of design, just the neuroaesthetic part of it and the sacred part of it. And I think everyone has experienced it, but they just can't put their finger on it or, aren't willing to accept it quite yet. If that also is a thing.
That's a really good point. And more and more, it's just more and more important that we have environments that really kind of, nurture us and make us feel good. And
1,000%. Oh, I love I love behind you. It looks so pretty.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, right back at you.
Oh, thanks. And what part of Hawaii? Or are you in the main island or?
Yeah, I'm on the island of Oahu in the city of Honolulu, and I live right in the city right now. I have in the city for about 7 years. I've lived in Hawaii for about 18 years.
Oh, awesome.
And how about you, Alyssa? Where are you?
So I'm in Virginia, Northern Virginia.
Oh,
so yeah, we're about to get dumped on with snow.
You're
tonight. Yes. So I'm we've been preparing and, kind of did the shopping and, had to cover all the things outside that needed covering. So, but really what I'm trying to do is just kind of, give my word to the world. And I really I feel like this space needs, more vision and more voice. And this is really why I'm doing that. So, of course, to build something new too, but really it's just to get that word out there. So
okay, great. And kudos to you and your business and doing a podcast. I mean, it's amazing.
It's been incredible. Because I get to meet people like you, and I just think it's amazing that we can connect, on parts of the world like that. And so it's been a really fun experience so far. And I've just got started. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what does that have to hold so much? So I'm really excited about it.
Yes, great.
Okay. So today's conversation, it feels like initiation to slow down, but it's about listening to our spaces and to our bodies and the subtle ways that our homes speak back to us. We're going to be speaking to Elizabeth today, who's the author and of Practice of Feng Shui, the Art of Placement and Intentional Living. So I'm joined by her today, and she is that author of that book and who work beautifully to reframe the Feng Shui not only in a rigid system of rules, but as a living, breathing relationship with the spaces that we inhabit. So what I was immediately drawn to was, the emphasis of intention and presence and accessibility. That this idea that our homes don't need to be perfect to be supportive, but they do need to be conscious. So, as a kitchen and bath designer, I spend my days working inside most ritual driven spaces of the home, where nourishment, care, rest, and daily habits unfold. And Elizabeth's perspective offers a beautiful lens for understanding how placement and awareness can quietly shape our well being, creativity, and sense of alignment. This conversation isn't about trends or formulas, it's about learning to feel our spaces and to live with intention and create homes that gently support who we're becoming. So, thank you so much for being here, Elizabeth. I'm really honored. And do you go by Liz or? Okay, sorry. So, thank
Yeah,
you so much, Liz.
call me Liz.
But
Thank
I'm really
you.
honored for you to be here on The Sacred Designer. So, welcome. And I'll just kick off with some opening questions. So, what originally drew you to Feng Shui? Not just as a system, but a way of relating to space and to life.
Yeah, Alyssa. Well, first of all, I will say thank you so much for inviting me. It's just an
Absolutely.
honor for me to be here, and I've seen a bit of your beautiful work and the nourishing spaces that you create. So, thank you. So, what originally drew me to Feng Shui? Um, there's a big answer to that. And actually, when I finished college, I moved to the Caribbean and I lived in the Cayman Islands on Grand Cayman um, for 5 years. And when I lived there, I became really interested in interior design and I started taking a design course. And I wanted to learn how to bring the outdoors inside in kind of at that time a systematic manner. So a few years later, I was led to a feng shui course. So it was actually at the time a 2 year part-time feng shui course in the evening. So I went twice a week, and this was in my hometown of Calgary, Alberta, Canada, to this wonderful teacher. Her name is Dr. Deborah Ford, and I took a feng shui course. So and then became a certified feng shui consultant and practitioner. And that's what drew me to feng shui. Initially, I wanted to learn how to bring the outdoors inside and put them in a space to really make the inhabitants feel good.
Yeah, I mean that's beautiful and like that's totally intentional, and just kind of like your book explains like the intentional living. It's an intentional placement though, I would assume. So how would you personally define intention when it comes to the home?
Um,
Like what does that mean? Because so many people are like don't even know what that means.
I guess so. You know, I revert a lot of things back to my feng shui teacher, who taught me the basics and the fundamentals of this ancient practice. And when she defines intention, she describes it as thinking about and stating um, that you would like to be a certain type of person to live your life in a certain type of way.
That's
So
beautiful.
that kind of, stayed with me because it causes some reflection, right? A lot of people ask this time of year, they've certainly asked me, what are your New Year's resolutions? And I say, I don't really go with New Year's resolutions, but I do create intentions for the year. And that takes some inner reflection or who I am, who I've been, what I'm grateful for, and what I'd like to see more of or cultivate more of in my life.
Absolutely. That's so beautiful and I love that. I love that you have that for yourself too. Like that's amazing. Because you're
Mhm.
absolutely right. I think there's so many people that will just kind of be like, this is my big goal. And it's like you said, I think it just needs to be kind of a collective intention, because that can be so many things, right? And as long as you're just little steps at a time, I feel like you can get there, but the big why sometimes is a little too overwhelming. At least it is for me. But
Yeah.
do you feel like there was truly a moment when you realized that spaces were shape our inner world, or that they're just not like an outer routine? Like, can you pinpoint that, or was it like an evolution?
Alyssa, it kind of came fast when I started practicing Feng Shui, because it truly is a practice, and I know we might talk about that a little bit later. So as far as when I can pinpoint, it was shortly after I started practicing Feng Shui, because a practice of Feng Shui relates every area of your home to a different area of your life. So, therefore, when depending on your home and your layout, your living room might be in your prosperity and wealth area and peace of mind area. Your children's room or your home office might be in your creativity, joy, and communication area. Your kitchen might be in your family, friends, and wealth area. So when you're an interior designer or a homeowner, just living in your home, practicing, when you know that each area of your life relates to a different area of your home, and then you start setting intentions for how you want your life to be, and then you place a physical object there in that area, whether it be a plant or a tree or a piece of artwork, and you see that on a daily basis with your intention behind it, your life can transform. And for me, when I started
Ooh,
practicing
full
it,
body chills. Sorry when you said that.
I started placing objects in certain areas of my home, stating things like, I want to live in a beautiful community where I'm with like-minded others, where nature is beautiful, and I want to do fulfilling work, where I'm making a real contribution to the community. So I started doing that while I was working as an interior design consultant. And that's when I realized that spaces truly shape our inner world and our outer world, because I began walking down a path where I got literally pulled to move to a different country, to Hawaii. And then when I moved to Hawaii, I completely changed fields. I moved into emergency preparedness in community healthcare.
Wow.
And so everything shifted when I started practicing Feng Shui. Yeah.
That's amazing. It was like
Mhm.
Hawaii was like a portal for you, it sounds like. For
I guess
sure.
so. I guess so. Yeah.
So, I mean, that definitely explains like the relationship between physical placement. Now, how about like the emotional and energetic well-being? Do you feel like, that plays into the placement? Like when you make that placement of that object or that item, like let's say it's a crystal, for example, do you feel like what is the shift that you're seeing? Because also I think people understand, okay, you're calling something in, it's an intention, but do you feel like there's a moment when that emotionally or energetically like makes a shift? Like that's how I see it. However, is that kind of like where you're coming from as well?
Well, I mean, yes, because uh, that relationship between the physical placement and emotional or energetic well being, you're truly creating your home to be a reflection of who you are and who you want to be. So your space automatically becomes emotionally nurturing and a safe place for you
Yeah.
with that practice. So that's where I see the relationship between the physical placement and then energetically, it can definitely promote well being. Yeah.
Wonderful. No, that's so beautiful. Thank you.
Mhm.
So would you say that like with your experience, is there a particular part of the home that tends to hold the most stuck energy? And like, if so, why? And I think, quite honestly, I think this probably varies by person, but is there a common, commonality that you found?
hmm Well, Alyssa, you kind of hit the nail on the head. It does vary by person or family dynamics. Any kind of space where there's a lot of clutter or even clutter behind closed doors that you don't see, like in kitchen cabinets, the back of the lazy Susan cupboard that you don't go into very often, or the back of like your pantry where you haven't cleaned out the food cans for a few years, or if you have kids and there's a playroom or the play area, and there's a bunch of toys or closets especially, those areas can hold the most stuck energy just because things accumulate in those areas and they haven't been cleaned out. With a feng shui practice, one of the kind of metaphors that we can use is that we want to look at energy as a slow moving, kind of babbling brook. The words feng shui actually mean wind and water. And so when you practice feng shui, you want to think of energy, or you'll often hear the term qi energy. You want to think of that energy coming through your front door and slowly moving, not stagnating in all areas of your house. And you also don't want it like rushing or moving too quick. So that slow moving energy, if there's a bunch of dust or clutter behind closed doors, it can get stuck there and therefore affect kind of your life as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I find that when I like, really kind of like throw the dirt or the dust up, in a room and I reorganize it, it's like you just feel the difference, right? And then I also find that it tends to get stuck in lower places, kind of like where you would suspect like the dust would land, like just energetically. And then I feel like you can flush that out with simple wiping down or even like intention. When you have an intention, I feel it always comes back to that, right? So, but that makes a lot of sense. Even like behind closed doors, like that part kind of stuck with me because I haven't heard anyone say that before. But which also kind of comes circles back around to like it's a practice rather than a rigid system because you kind of have to keep it going. It's not like you can just set it and forget it. You have to kind of keep running with it.
Mhm.
Would you say it's like a daily habit to keep things kind of flowing?
Absolutely. We know simple things. We have so much online these days, but we still receive mail and we have receipts and we have to file things. And those are easy to like pile up in corners. And actually, even if it's coming in online, that can create a clutter as well. So that's definitely part of the daily practice of feng shui, is keeping that clutter.
Because I feel like when your emails kind of get like bogged down or your piles, like it almost creates a clutter inside, right?
100%. Yeah.
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 Well, how about like, do you feel like there's any misconceptions that have been kind of created by feng shui?
Feng shui definitely can be demystified. One of the first things that come to mind is that feng shui can be just like lucky placement or lucky bamboo, which is actually a part of feng shui because it is definitely a revered plant. Lucky, but more so than a misconception, it can get confusing because there are three main schools of feng shui. So it's kind of like a language, whether you're speaking in French, Italian, or English. We're all communicating and we're all doing the same thing, but we're all doing it in a different way. So if you went onto Amazon or you went into Barnes and Noble, you could pick up three different feng shui books that um, are teaching you feng shui in three completely different ways. There's the most ancient form of feng shui, which is the landform school. There is the very traditional feng shui, which is the compass school, and that's using a lot of astrology and birth dates. And then there is a modernized Western version of feng shui, which a great feng shui master brought to North America and California in the 1970s. And they call that BTB feng shui, which is taking the Western world into consideration. So all three schools will tell you to do something completely different. So that's kind of above and beyond a misconception. But basically, all of them relate a different area of your home to a different area of your life.
Yeah, that makes, I mean, yeah, you're right. And like, it's more of a confusion. And I totally relate with that because I find that a lot of the feng shui people are saying different things. I mean, it's similar in its own right. However, I feel like there's kind of some discombobulation of what would you say like with those three main ones, like is it better to use one for a certain reason or do you practice one specifically more?
I do practice the westernized version. It's called BTB feng shui.
Uh-huh.
But living in Hawaii, I'm kind of on a bridge to Asia. So I am taking in a lot of the landform school feng shui, like the location of the hills and the mountains and the water. So those are the ones that I practice.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So then I'm gonna ask you some questions about kitchens and baths because, obviously that's what I do a lot of. So as
Yes.
someone who works closely in kitchens and bathrooms, I see that it's like a deeply ritual-driven space. But how do you view these rooms, in your feng shui lens?
I have to say too, I really appreciate, and it really resonates with me that you're identifying that these two areas are really a ritual based place, and your clients are so fortunate to have you, Alyssa.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, to work on those spaces. So as far as those rituals and your daily life, having them clutter free and then knowing your designs are so rich and nurturing that you really take that into consideration. But it's as simple as so in your kitchen, if you look at your kitchen counter, what sort of items do you have on your kitchen counter? Do you have a KitchenAid on there that you use maybe once a year during the holidays? Do you have your toaster on the kitchen counter as well and you really use that like once a month? Put those away where you don't need them all the time, so you've
Yeah.
got more space, right, and more room for that energy to flow and for you to cook yourself a wonderful meal with your family. So that's like an example, and same with the bathroom as well. Like underneath that bathroom sink, we can really have the clutter pile up there. Do you have products that you're not using anymore? If I haven't used it in 6 months, just let it go and create a little bit more space so you can allow for those rituals that you practice every day.
That's totally fair. And I was kind of giggling while you were saying the toaster and all the things because, like, I just have this appliance obsession. And quite honestly, there's just so many incredible tools that are out there. However, it
Yeah.
really clutters up the countertops and it just like creates this mental block for me. So even, and I kind of told myself, I'm like, you only use it once a week. So you can put it away. And so like kind of to that concept. So I wouldn't even as dramatic as once a week versus like the seasonally, right? But
Right.
it makes such a big difference in even just wiping down the counters
Mhm.
is huge for me. So like energetically, it just like resets me. It just creates this grounded energy for the family, because then they feel like they can come and, congregate over the table where if it's cluttered, we're all like kind of like trying to figure it out and it just doesn't work. So, but then
Yeah.
also like with the bathrooms, I just think there's like a magic with that, like just being able to kind of like reset and re-cleanse, when it comes to like I'm a big tubby person. I say tubby because I have two small boys, but But that, I mean, that's kind of how I look at like it's an emotional release kind of center is when it comes to bathrooms. But I love what you said about
Absolutely.
both
And
of
it can be
that.
very cleansing too, like having a nice bathtub that's well maintained and some beautiful salts, which are very cleansing. And that can be energetically cleansing as well. So can appreciate that.
Because, like, how else can a home actively support your creativity or self-expression rather than drain you? Because, like, we talked about clutter. Is there any other kind of like things that we should be considering? Is
Yeah,
that the
well,
main
for
one?
sure. You
Okay.
know, well, like I mentioned with Feng Shui, so there's it's kind of like a sacred map that you lay over your home that relates each area of your home to a different area of your life. And there's 9 main areas. And one of those areas is the creativity and joy communication area. So that's a really fun place to, actively acknowledge creativity in your life. And if you can put your home office in that area or your children's room in that area, and then one step further is choosing like your fixtures or your colors, even as much as how you organize your books or how you organize your bookshelves and what sort of things that you put on there, so that can bring that creativity into your life and therefore more joy and fulfillment.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, the placements that definitely makes a lot of sense. So have
Yeah.
you observed or kind of like noticed some patterns between certain spatial imbalances? Obviously, we talked about like, if maybe something isn't placed in a proper part of the home. But is there a way to like, help the imbalance of stress, burnout, or like emotional fatigue? Like what are some pinpoints of things that can be helpful?
Well, I actually think one of the main layers of feng shui practice are bringing the elements of nature into your home. And
Oh,
it
yeah.
specifically works with 5 elements of nature, and that is water, earth or rocks, um, wood, plants, fire can be represented by candles or fireplaces, and metal or round objects or metallic looking objects as well. So placing those in certain areas mindfully can definitely energize the space and help nourish you emotionally.
That's awesome. That's incredible.
Mhm.
Yeah, I get really drawn to trying to incorporate wood elements, especially like in a kitchen, because I feel like there's just this warmth to it and this grounding part that like so like I tend to be like, let's make the wood like a nice contrasting, warm wood to kind of because everybody's just like, I want to paint, I want to have all white paint cabinets, and like if I have to install another white kitchen, oh my gosh.
Right. They've been
But
so popular over the past
yeah, yeah.
decades, right?
But yeah, that makes a lot of sense when you speak about the wood. And my husband's a sawyer by trade. So like, being able to see all the beautiful, furniture, I feel like makes such a big difference. How do you encourage people to let go of perfectionism? I feel like this is something that I really struggle with. Quite honestly, I think it's something that was given to me by by my mother. But at the same time, is there something that you can do to kind of let that go instead of designing, just like instead of designing for alignment, like is there a way to like let go of this perfectionism? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And, when I worked as an interior design consultant, and I still work, about one client a year comes to me because I work full time in community health. Often people are caught up with that perfectionism in design. And I think the best way to do it is to, how can I say this? Surround themselves with the things that they love rather than things that they think they should have in their home.
That's
Why are
beautiful.
people doing white kitchens left, right, and center? So I'm just going to grab some water.
That's such a beautiful statement.
Because it's a certain design aesthetic that they see in whatever magazines or TV shows, and they think that's the way it should be. But if they went into a little bit more of exploration of what feels good to them what type of person are they? How do they want to feel when they come home? So letting go of that perfectionism and really creating a space that feels good for your particular personality, knowing that everybody is different as well. So, and it's okay to step into your own shoes. And hey, if you want to bring in the soft blush pink walls or the fuchsia walls, do it. Work with your designer, and be honest about the kind of space that you want and the type of person you are. So I think that could help.
Thank you for saying that because I just feel like now, time and time again, I'm constantly saying, like, do what feels good to you. Do the
Mhm.
funky wallpaper, do the funky this, because you only have one life to live. And it's all about the now, the present. And you have to enjoy it. And they're like, oh, but when I sell it, I'm like, you're not going to sell for another 5, 10, 15 years. So you should be able to enjoy it for those 5, 10, not to mention help nourish your body, with alignment in terms of like, some items that feel good to you. So thank you so much for saying that. I resonate with that a lot.
Oh, that's great. Don't you feel like oftentimes as a designer, you're a facilitator, right? You're taking what your client wants and you're facilitating it and making it happen and creating their space 100 times more than they could have ever imagined. And it's better for them and better for you if you can really tap into who they are and what feels
Oh,
good.
1,000%, yes. One of my main sole purposes is to hold an emotional space for my clients to allow them to reflect themselves of their true self. That's one of my missions. And so I do hold that dear, and because I think people get caught up in what they think they're supposed to have and what they're supposed to do,
Yeah.
that just simply giving permission to authentically express themselves is really what I'm here for and what I think that people need to do more of, for sure.
Yes. We're so fortunate to find you. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. So if someone could make an intentional shift in their home this week, what would you suggest that they start with? Just as like what could they do to make a little bit of a difference?
I would say they could start at their front door. The front door is the place where, like I had mentioned before, you welcome that chi energy into your life. You welcome the flow of life force energy into your home and your life. And there's a few things that you can do at the front door. Number one, you can wipe it down,
Yeah.
inside and out, clean it up. You can make sure that the lights are working well outside if you have lights outside. Dust off that front porch. Go to Target or wherever you like to shop, grab a new mat, or Restoration Hardware, and update the hardware on your door and put a new door handle on there. um, if you have space, flank your door with some greenery that is proportional in size to your door on either side, so that brings a little bit of balance. And as well, if you can add a little bit of movement to your front door area, whether that be a wind chime or something like a wind spinner, that the aesthetic that you enjoy, if you want something quiet to bring a little bit of movement. So those are some things that you can do. And of course, clear the clutter within the front door as well.
Yes, that's one thing I've noticed is like just keeping looking even like several feet in front of it and to the side, just, being allowing that flow. That I think was the biggest thing that made a difference for me, just because I just, with two small children, it's not hard to like, get things piled up and all that. So, no, that makes a lot of sense. So, okay, um, I wanted to do a sacred fire round where I just kind of ask you questions, and if you could just do like a quick response back. If you're like
Okay.
can't think of it, just say pass. Otherwise,
Okay.
it's just kind of fun, and then
Fun.
we'll kind of end with that. But okay, so
Okay.
a space you return to when you need to feel grounded.
My yoga mat.
Okay, one small shift that can change the energy of a room instantly.
Clapping your hands.
Yes. Okay, one side note. So I had been playing around with energy space bells and the clapping method. So I
Oh,
feel that. I feel that.
that's
Okay. Yeah,
clear the
it does.
space.
It changes it.
Mhm.
A color that feels most supportive to you right now.
Green.
Okay, that makes sense. A daily ritual that
Yes.
helps you stay in alignment.
Meditation,
Oh,
100%.
1000%. Love
And
that.
stretching.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
Something in the home you believe that holds more power than people realize.
A plant and a candle.
I know plants talk to me.
Oh,
They do.
I wouldn't
They
even
all
start.
have names too.
Oh, no, that's great.
A word you'd describe an energetically healthy home.
Nurturing.
Okay. A habit or pattern you gently encourage people to release from their spaces.
That I gently encourage people to release from their spaces. Piling up clutter,
Yep, the
piling up.
clutter. That's
Yeah, like,
good. Yeah.
yeah, the shopping bags, after you use them, don't leave them in the heat, put them away. Yeah.
A practice you return to when life feels noisy or misaligned.
Uh, Definitely breath work and meditation, in kind of my little sacred area. Yeah.
Love it. One intention that you hope listeners will carry into their homes after this conversation.
Mm. To create a home that feels good to them.
Okay, I love that. So, if someone wants to get in touch with you or wants to work with you, what would be the way that they could reach out to you?
I would say probably the easiest way that I will get the message is to um, email me at makarradesign@gmail,
Okay.
or they can check out my Instagram, which is Feng Shui Design for Wellbeing.
Okay, love it. So I will put that in the show notes. And
Mhm.
I really appreciate everything that you've said today. And thank you so much for joining us on The Sacred Designer. Any closing statements that you might want to throw out there?
No, this is just so much fun, and I just love, talking design and feng shui and creating beautiful, nurturing spaces. So thanks again, Alyssa. And it's a great time for it. We're about to go into the Lunar New Year. We've just, we're a month
Yeah.
in almost, and we're kicking off to the Year of the Horse. We're letting the snake go, Year of the Horse. So let's hit the
That's
ground running.
that's true. Thank you.
Hey, sacred listeners, it's Alyssa Martin. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. But guess what? We're going to be at school. That's right, SKOOL. There, we're going to have a free community where there's all the tools and checklists and things of that nature to help you get your remodel done in alignment. But guess what? We're also going to have the design lounge where you get one-on-one access to me. So go to school, check out the link in the show notes, and check it out. I'll see you guys next time on this Here's the Sacred Designer. Thank you.